Really?
Yeah.
The meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, you can see it. I was like, what? Huh?
Yeah, I've never seen that show up before when I've done these.
Because we're everywhere, Jackie.
We're everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
How do we all sound? How's the audio?
Good, or else I would have like done a check. But since we were all talking, it seemed like everyone did.
Yep.
Oh, except I don't think I heard you, Madeline and Joe.
Hello.
Ahoy, hoy.
Hear me now?
I
Yes,
hear
I
you,
can
Madeline.
hear you now. Verizon.
Let me mute myself. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're all good. Keep talking, friends, while I figure this out. Keep figuring this out. You know.
We have to talk about it.
So I have
Just hold my hand while I come to a decision on it.
One of the tricky things about Zoom, it's really hard for Rocky to tell that I'm staring intently into his eyes right now.
Whoa. Y'all know each other?
There we go.
It's really hard for Joe to tell that I'm
We
staring at him
supposedly are still in Hunchback together.
It's true.
Are you?
Yes, we are.
It has not technically been canceled yet.
It's this true.
Didn't even know that was being being offered anywhere.
Get ready for the fall, later in the fall, from what I've heard.
So hopefully things will be okay by then.
Yes. Believe me, I've been trying to get something out of Maureen.
I mean, I just did like a streamed show in masks, and they were clear masks, which was difficult to breathe in.
For Joe to tell that I'm
We supposedly are still in Hunchback together.
It's
true.
Does someone have YouTube?
Whoa.
I think we're getting delayed feedback.
Is this true?
Who's got feedback?
Someone's definitely got YouTube.
Being offered anywhere.
Get ready for the fall, later in the fall.
Is somebody like playing the YouTube video of this at a
someone's
delay?
definitely playing the YouTube video.
I just put it in the chat so that if you want to watch and live chat there.
I just did like a streamed show in masks, and they were clear masks. Pass Rocky, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's gonna be one.
This is gonna be like.
Hey, whoever's watching YouTube at the same time, could you mute that, please?
You were right about him, Bruce. You were right about him the whole time.
I was ready to hear the feedback of the feedback.
I just realized since that audio was playing in the feedback, there will be you're right. There will be feedback.
Have you guys heard of I Am Sitting in a Room? There's I think it's a John Cage piece maybe, but it's like a sort of experimental music piece where somebody played a recording of themselves reading a script. And then, wait, well, I guess I don't know when I got cut off. That's okay. Eventually they looped it back and played it in the same room again and again and again until it just like sounded out the normal modes of the room.
I thought that was Steve Reich.
I would totally believe it. John Cage was 4 minutes, 33 seconds. It seemed off the wall enough that he would have done the same thing.
Inception sound. Yes, it was. That was wild. I was like, what is going on?
Well, Steve Reich's the guy who did one that begins, I had to open up the bruise and let the blues blood come out to show them. Come out to show them, 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 come out to show them.
Okie dokie. Okay, book show. I think we're good. I think we're ready. How is everyone? Is everyone ready? Ready to go?
Getting hype.
Okay. Like I said, feel free to share that YouTube link. It's not going to be on Facebook Live. I lied. I can't do both, apparently. Choices. So share that with all your friends so that they can vote.
Just share the YouTube video on Facebook.
Yes, I'm going to do that too. And I'll, eventually.
But when you do that, make sure you tell everyone it was my idea.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Everyone, welcome to March Monologues. March Madness Monologues Classical Edition. Thank you so much for joining us for this beautiful competition. A few things before we begin. There will be probably 5 rounds. Round 1, everyone is going to prepare and show you a monologue of their choosing, and there won't be any votes. Feel free to say nice and lovely things about people, though. If you enjoy it, if you like something about it, please put it in the comments. And for round 2, that is when the matchups will begin. A versus B, which will all be chosen randomly. And you get to decide which monologue you prefer. Do you prefer A or do you prefer B? And depending on your choice, that person will move on to the next round. Now, because we are an odd number of people, there are going to be several people who move to round 3 who will be random and chosen from those that aren't chosen, just FYI. Cool. If you have any questions or problem, put it in the chat. Okay, are we ready? Let's begin.
Hold on, someone's asking how do they vote?
Good question. How do you vote? If you're on YouTube right now, you just need to put it in the chat, please. Right. If you are on Zoom with us, you also just need to put it in the chat. Now, granted, if you're not comfortable putting this publicly for everyone to see and judge, you can send me a private message with your choice. And don't worry, it will be anonymous. I will not disclose your names. No, Lenny, no. I'm the best intro jester. Just kidding.
Also, remember that you can vote by texting Jackie to 59591. There is a 99-cent fee.
Stop! Don't share my phone number publicly!
59591 is your
Robert
phone
was
number.
trying to get the vote by sending everything to his personal account, claiming it was Jackie.
By texting.
Shit, he got me.
We're going to do it like competition style. Text 1 for Rocky Nunzio. 2 for Paul Brewster.
Here's what I would do. Text 1 for
3
Rocky Nunzio.
for
Text
Joe.
2 for Rocky Nunzio.
Excellent. Let's get the show on the road. Okay, our first person to begin is Sarah Kesman. It's all you. Jeffrey, please stop your video. Thank you. Start whenever you'd like.
What angel wakes me from my flowery bed? I pray thee, gentle mortal, sing again. Mine ear is much enamored of thy note. So is mine eye enthralled to thy shape. And thy fair virtues perforce doth move me on the first view to say, to swear, I love thee.
Thank you, Sarah. Next up is Marge McGugan. Oh, if I say your name wrong, feel free to correct me. Thanks.
That's okay. Just don't call me late for dinner. Hi, I'm Marge, and I would like to read a monologue from Taming of the Shrew. Basta, Content thee, for I have it full. We have not been seen in any house, nor can we lie distinguished by our faces, for man or master. Then it follows thus: thou shalt be master. Tranio, in my stead, thou shalt be master. Keep house and port and servants, as I should. I will some other be, some Florentine, some Neapolitan, some meaner man of Pisa. 'Tis hatched and shall be so. Tranio, at once, uncase thee. Take my colored hat and my cloak. When Biondolo comes, he waits on thee, and I will charm him first to keep his tongue.
Thank you, Marge. And next, Madeline Lombardia. Yeah, it won't stop. Okay, cool.
Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword. The expectancy and rose of the fair state. The glass of fashion and the mold of forms. Be observed of all observers, quite down, and I of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows. Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see.
Thank you, Madeline. And next, Andrew Harristy.
Now, entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur in the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul womb of night, the hum of either armory stilly sounds, that the physic sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through their pally flames, each battle sees the other's unburied face. Steed threatens steed in high boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear. And from the tents, the armorers accomplishing the knights with busy hammers closing rivets up. Give dreadful note of preparation. The country cock does crow, and the clocks do toll, and the third hour of drowsy morning named. Proud of their numbers and secure in their soul, the confident French and overlusty do the low-rated English play at dice and chide the cripple and tardy-gated knight, who like a foul and ugly witch doth limp so tediously away. The poor condemned English, like sacrifices by their watchful fires, sit patiently and inanely ruminate the morning's danger. And their gestures sad, investing lank lean cheeks and war-worn coats, presenteth them unto the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts. Oh, now, who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry, praise and glory on his head, for forth he goes and visits his host, bids them good morrow, and with a modest smile calls them brother, friends, and countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note of how dread an army hath surrounded him, nor does he dedicate one jot of color unto the weary and all watched night, but freshly looks and overbears a taint with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every watch, pining and pale before beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks. A largesse universal, like the sun, his liberal eye doth give to every one, thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold, as many unworthiness define, a little touch of Harry in the night. And so our scene must play the battle fly, where, oh, for pity, we shall much disgrace, with 4 or 5 most vile ragged foils, right ill disposed and brawl ridiculous, the name of Agincourt. Yet sit and see, minding true things by what their mockeries be.
Thank you, Andrew. And next, Robert Howard.
It's pronounced Robert.
Really?
No. Anyways, I decided to start with the one that I wasn't even sure would count as classical, so I'll get it out of the way, and then the other ones, which I know are classical, will be safe. This would be from Inherit the Wind, aka a script of mine still laying around my house. Yes! The individual human mind. In a child's power to master the multiplication table, there is more sanctity than in all your shouted amens, holy holies, and hosannas. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral. And the advance of man's knowledge is more of a miracle than any sticks turned to snakes or the parting of waters. But are we now to halt the march of progress because Mr. Brady frightens us with fables? Gentlemen, progress has never been a bargain. You've got to pay for it. Sometimes I think there's a man behind a counter who says, all right, you can have a telephone, but you'll have to give up privacy, the charm of distance. Madam, you may vote, but at a price. You lose the right to retreat behind a powder puff or a petticoat. Mister, you may conquer the air, but the birds will lose their wonder, and the clouds will smell of gasoline. Darwin moved us forward to a hilltop where we could look back and see the way from which we came. But for this view, this insight, this knowledge, we must abandon our faith in the pleasant poetry of Genesis. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And next, Paul Brewster.
My love is as a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease, feeding on that which doth preserve the ill, the uncertain sickly appetite to please. My reason, physician to my love, angry that his prescriptions are not kept, hath left me, and I, desperate now, approve. Desire is death, which physic did accept. Oh, past cure I am. Now reason is past care, and frantic mad with evermore unrest. My thoughts and my discourses, as madmen's are, at random from the truth, vainly expressed. For I have sworn thee fair, and thought thee bright, that art as black as hell, as dark as night.
Thank you, Paul. And next, Joseph Downs.
Thank you, Jackie. This will be from Philoctetes by Sophocles. Alas, how hateful to the gods, how very poor a wretch must I then be that Greece should never hear of woes like mine. But they who sent me hither, they concealed them and smile triumphant, whilst my cruel wounds grow deeper still. O sprung from great Achilles, behold before thee Poias's wretched son, with whom a chance but thou hast heard remain the dreadful arrows of renowned Alcides, in the unhappy Philoctetes. Him whom the Atridae and the vile Ulysses inhuman left, distempered as I was by the envenomed serpent's deep felt wound. Soon as they saw that, with long toil oppressed, sleep had o'ertaken me on the hollow rock, there did they leave me, when from Chrysa's shore they bent their fatal course. A little food and these few rags were all they would bestow. Such one day be their fate. Alas, my son, how dreadful thinkst thou was that waking to me, when from my sleep I rose and saw them not? How did I weep? How mourn my wretched state, when not a ship remained of all the fleet that brought me here, no kind companion left to minister or needful food or balm to my sad wounds. On every side I looked and saw nothing but woe, and of that indeed measure too full. For day succeeded day, and still no comfort came. Myself alone could to myself the means of life afford in this poor grotto. On my bow I lived, the winged dove, which my sharp arrow slew. With pain I brought into my little hut and feasted there. Then from the broken ice I slaked my thirst, and crept into the wood for useful fuel. From the stricken flint I drew the latent spark that warms me still and still revives. This with my humble roof preserve me, son. But oh, my wounds remain. Thou seest a desert, an island desolate and waste, no friendly port, nor hopes of gain to tempt, nor host to welcome in the traveler. Few seek the wild, inhospitable shore, by adverse winds, sometimes the unwilling guests, as thou mayst suppose, were hither driven, but when they came, they only pitied me, gave me a little food, or better garb to shield me from the cold. In vain I prayed that they would bear me to my native soil, for none would listen. Here, for 10 long years have I remained, whilst misery and famine keep fresh my wounds and double my misfortune. This have the Atridae and Ulysses done, and may the gods with equal woes repay them.
Thank you, Joe. And next, Rocky Nunzio.
Hello, this is Malcolm from the Scottish play. Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath from my soul wiped the black scruples, reconciled my thoughts to thy good truth and honor. Devilish Macbeth, by many of these trains hath sought to win me, into his power, and modest wisdoms plucks me from over credulous haste. But God above deal between thee and me, for even now I'll put myself to thy direction, and unspeak mine own detraction. Here abjure the taints and blames I laid upon myself, for strangers to my nature. I am yet unknown to woman, it never was forsworn, scarcely have coveted that what was mine own. At no time broke my faith, would not betray the devil to his fellow and delight, no less in truth than life. My first false speaking was this upon myself: what I am truly is thine, and my poor country's to command. Whether indeed before thy here approach, old seaward with 10,000 warlike men already at a point was setting forth. Now we'll return together, and the chance of goodness be like our warranted quarrel. Why are ye silent? Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. And next, Jeffrey Basker.
Hey, this is from a classic film called Dr. Strangelove, and it's President Merkin Muffley. Hello, Dimitri. Listen, I'm having a little trouble. Can you turn the music down? Fine. You're coming through fine. Clear and plain, coming through fine. Well, I'm coming through fine. Well, then we're both coming through fine. You're fine, and I'm fine. You're right, Dimitri. It's great to be fine. Now then, Dimitri, remember how we always talked about the possibility of something going wrong with the bomb? The bomb, Dimitri, the hydrogen bomb. Well, what happened, Dimitri, is one of our base commanders went a little funny in the head, just a little bit funny. And he went and did a silly thing. He ordered his planes to attack your country. Well, let me finish, Dimitri. Let me finish, Dimitri. Well, how do you suppose I feel? Can you imagine how I feel? What do you think I called? Just to say hello? Well, of course I like talking to you. Of course I like saying hello. Well, not just any time, but now. I'm just calling to tell you that something terrible has happened. It's a friendly call. Of course it's a friendly call. Listen, if it wasn't a friendly call, well, then you probably wouldn't have got it. They will not attack their targets for at least another hour. I'm serious. Now look, I've been all over this with your ambassador. It is not a trick. Well, I'll tell you, we'd like to give your air staff a complete rundown of the targets, the flight plans, and the defensive systems of the planes. Yes, well, if we can't recall them, then we'll have to help you destroy the planes. I know there are, boys. Now then, who should we call? Who should we call, Dimitri? The people? Sorry, you're breaking up on me. The People's Central Air Defense Headquarters in Omsk. Oh, you'll call them first, will you? Okay. Say, Dimitri, you happen to have a telephone number? Okay. Just ask for Omsk information. I'm sorry, Dimitri. I'm very sorry, Dimitri. I know you're sorry, but I am sorry too. I am just as sorry as you. Don't tell me you were more sorry than I am, because I can be just as sorry as you. So we're both sorry.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And next, moi, Jacqueline Elizabeth. I will be doing a monologue from the Scottish play. For those of you out there who don't know what the Scottish play is, I'm going to say it. Cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. It is Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false vision, proceeding from the heat oppressed brain? I see thee yet in form as palpable as this which now I draw. Thou marshallest me the way that I was giving, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now o'er the one half world nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel, the wolf whose howls his watch, thus with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravaging strides towards his designs, moves like a ghost. Thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear thy very stones prate of my whereabout, and take the present horror from the time which now suits with it. Whilst I threat, he lives. Words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. Yay! Thanks, Jackie. And last but not least, Kanika Savoy.
I am going to be doing, well, hello, my name is Kanika. I am going to be doing a monologue from play Hamlet, and it is called Ophelia's Monologue. Oh, what a noble mind is here. Overthrown. The court of soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword. Thy expectancy and rose of a fair state. The glass of fashion in the mold of form. Thy observed all observers quite down. And I of ladies, most dejected and wretched, that suck the honey of his own music vows. Now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of lone youth, last with ecstasy, oh woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. Excellent. And that concludes round 1. And now for round 2, we are going to do the matchups, A versus B, where you get to decide which monologue you prefer, A or B. Please don't forget to put it in the chat on Zoom or in the chat on YouTube. And a little interlude so that we can let our actors prepare themselves for round 2. Stick around, get some snacks, get some drinks, and we will begin momentarily. Thank you. All right, round 2. Are you ready? For the matchups, we will begin with Robert Howard.
How did I know? Where's the bell?
I'll find it.
Oh, okay, cool. Alrighty. Hello, all. Now I shall be doing a monologue from Cain by Lord Byron. Thank you. Now I'm ready. You don't know how much that's just improved my monologue performance ability. And this is life? Toil! And wherefore should I toil? Because my father could not keep his place in Eden? What had I done in this? I was unborn. I sought not to be born, nor love the state to which that birth has brought me. Why did he yield to the serpent and the woman? For yielding, why suffer? What was there in this? The tree planted And why not for him? If not, why place it near him, where it grew the fairest in the center? I have but one answer to all questions. 'Twas his will, and he is good. How know I that? Because he is all-powerful, must all good too follow? I judge but by the fruits. They are bitter, which I must feed on for a fault not mine. Why do I exist? Why aren't all things wretched? Even he who made us must be, as the maker of things, unhappy. To produce destruction can surely never be the task of joy. And yet my sire says he's omnipotent. Then why is evil he being good? I asked this question of my father, and he said, because this evil only was the path to good. Strange good that must arise from out its deadly opposite. I lately saw a lamb stung by a reptile. The poor suckling lay foaming on the earth, beneath the vain and piteous bleating of its restless dam. My father plucked some herbs and laid them to the wound, and by degrees the helpless wretch resumed its careless life and rose to drain the mother's milk, who o'er its tremulous stood licking its reviving limbs with joy. Behold, my son, said Adam, how from evil springs good. But I thought that 'twere a better portion for the animal never to have been stung at all than purchase renewal of its little life with agonies unutterable, though dispelled by antidotes. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And your matchup is Joseph Downs.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. I'm going to be doing a monologue from Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream. My mistress with a monster is in love. Near to her close and consecrated bower, while she was in her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches at rude mechanicals that work for bread upon Athenian stalls were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. The shallowest thick skin of that barren sort who Pyramus presented in their sport forsook his scene and entered a break. When I did him at this advantage take, an ass's knoll I fixed upon his head, anon his Thisbe must be answered, and forth my mimic comes. And then when they spy him, as wild geese that creeping fowler eye, o'er russet-pated choughs, many in sort, rising and cawing at the guns report, sever themselves and madly sweep the sky. So at his sight, away his fellows fly. And at our stamp, or here o'er and o'er one falls, he murder cries and help from Athens calls. Ah, their sense thus weak, lost with their fears thus strong, made senseless things begin to do them wrong. For briars and thorns at their apparel snatch, some sleeves, some hats, from yielders all things catch. I led them on in this distracted fear and left sweet Pyramus translated there. When in that moment, so it came to pass, Titania waked and straightway loved an ass.
Thank you, Joe. And now it is time for you to vote. Robert Howard versus Joseph Downs. Please Put your votes in the chat, YouTube, or Zoom, and I will count them. Thank you. All right, the votes are in. And believe it or not, it was a tie. And to break this tie, generally, we would be using our randomizer to choose the winner. But because our dear Joseph Downs must leave us, must bid us adieu very, very soon, it goes to Robert Howard. Bravo to the two of you. Beautiful job. Thank you so much. And let us now begin the next matchup.
Real quick,
Beginning with Marge McGugan.
Hi. I will be doing a monologue from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and I'll be playing the nurse. Oh, mistress. What? Mistress Juliet. Fast, I warrant her. She. Why, lamb? Why, lady? Fie, you slug of bed. Why, love, I say, madam, sweetheart, why, bride? What, not a word? You take your penny's worth now? Sleep for a week, for the next night, I warrant. The county Paris hath set up his rest, that you shall rest but little. Oh, God forgive me. Mary, amen. How sound asleep she is. I must needs to wake her. Madam, madam, madam. I let the county take you in your bed. He'll frighten you up in faith. Will it not be? What? Dressed in your clothes and down again? I must needs to wake you. Lady, lady, lady! Alas! Help! Help! My lady's dead! Oh, what did I was ever born? Oh, sono aquavita! Oh, my lord! My lady! Thank you.
Thank you, March. And your matchup is Madeline Lombardia.
Hello. How fitting. I will be doing Juliet from Romeo and Juliet.
Smackdown.
Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaethon would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy close curtain, love-performing night, that runaways' eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or, if love be blind, it best agrees with night. Come, civil night, thou sober-suited matron, all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, played for pair stainless maidenhoods. Hide my unmanned blood bathing in my cheeks with thy black mantle, till strange love grown bold think true love acted simple modesty. Come, night. Come, Romeo. Come, thou day in night. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. And now it is time to vote. A, Marge versus B, Madeline. Thank you. All right, another tough choice. The winner is Madeline. Thank you both so much. Marge, please stick around as you will be performing regardless. Thank you. And next, for our next matchup, A is Paul Brewster.
Benedict from Much Ado. I do much wonder that one man, but seeing how much another man is a fool when he dedicates his behaviors to love, will, after he hath laughed at such shallow follies in others, become the argument of his own scorn by falling in love. Oh, and such a man is Claudio. Oh, I have known when there was no music with him but the drum and the fife. Now had he rather hear the tabor and the pipe. I have known when he would have walked 10 miles afoot to see a good armor. Now will he lie 10 nights awake, carving the fashion of a new doublet. Oh. He was wont to speak plain and to the purpose, like an honest man and a soldier. Now as he turned orthography, oh, his words a very fantastical banquet. Oh, just so many strange dishes. May I be so converted and see with these eyes? I cannot tell. I think not. I will not be sworn. But love may transform me to an oyster. But till he hath made an oyster of me, he shall never make me such a fool. Yeah. One woman is fair, yet I am well. Another is wise, yet I am well. Another virtuous, yet I am well. But till all graces come in one woman shall not come in my grace. Well, rich she shall be, that's certain. Wise, or I'll none. Virtuous, or well, I'll never cheapen her. Fair, or I'll never look on her. Oh, mild, or come not near me. Noble, or not I for an angel, of good discourse. An excellent musician, and her hair shall be, well, of what color it please God.
Thank you, Paul. And next is our B, Rocky Nunzio. I know. I was like, why is he doing this to me? Why?
Okay. This is also Benedict from Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, no!
That's why I said that.
Perfect.
A different monologue, though. This can be no trick. The conference was sadly born. They have the truth of this from Hero. They seem to pity the lady. It seems her affections have their full bent. Love me. Why, it must be requited. I hear how I'm censored. They say I will bear myself proudly if I perceive the love come from her. They say, too, that she will rather die than give me any sign of affection. I did never think to marry. I must not seem proud. Happy are they that hear their detractions and can put them to mending. They say the lady is fair. 'Tis a truth, I can bear them witness. And virtuous, 'tis so, I cannot reprove it. And wise, but for loving me, by my troth, it is no addition to her wit. No great argument of her folly, for I will be horribly in love with her. I may have some odd quirks and remnants of wit broken on me because I have railed so long against marriage. But doth the appetite not alter? A man loves the meat in his youth that he cannot enjoy in his age. Shall quips and sentences and these paper bullets of the brain are a man from the career of his humor? No. The world must be peopled. When I said I would die a bachelor, I did not think I should live till I were married. Here comes Beatrice, who by this day, she's a fair lady. I do spy some marks of love in her. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. And now, time to vote. A, Paul versus B, Rocky. another very close one. I had to count it several times to see if there wasn't a tie again, but there isn't. By one vote difference, the winner is Paul Brewster. Thank you both so much. And please remember to stick around, Rocky, as we will still hear more of your monologues. Thank you. And for our next matchup, it starts with me. And I will be doing a monologue. Yes. Which monologue? Un momento, por favor. I will be doing a monologue from All's Well That Ends Well by William Shakespeare, a monologue of Helena. I confess here on my knee before high heaven and you, that before you and next unto high heaven, I love your son. My friends were poor but honest. So's my love. Be not offended, for it hurts not him that he is loved by me. I follow him not by any token of presumptuous suit, nor would I have him till I do deserve him. Yet never know how that desert should be. I know I love in vain, strive against hope, yet in this captious and insensible sea, I still pour in the waters of my love, and lack not to lose still. Thus, Indian-like, religious in mine air, I adore the sun that looks upon his worshipper, but knows of him no more. My dearest madam, let not your hate encounter with my love. For loving where you do, but if yourself, whose aged honor cites a virtuous youth, did ever in so true a flame of liking wish chastely and love dearly, that your Dian was both herself and love, oh, then give pity to her whose state is such that cannot choose, but lend and give where she is sure to lose, that seeks not to find that her search implies, but riddle-like lives sweetly where she dies. Thank you. And the matchup is with Jeffrey Baskin.
This is from It Can't Happen Here, Buzz Windrip. Why can't you see the funny side of things? Like when we started in politics. Remember that private burlesque show down in Natchez and that red-headed broad that had to have her own lace pillow along with her? I don't get many laughs like that anymore. I thought it would be more fun to be president. First American dictator in history, by God. I used to imagine myself coming right in here and slapping Abe Lincoln's feet off the desk and putting mine up on it. But nobody seems to like me anymore, even you. When I was a kid on the farm, I didn't get along very well with the other kids. I swore I'd make them pay for my being lonely. And I got popular. I climbed to this high office, and now I'm even lonelier than I ever was. Lonelier than any man ever was. Oh, well, you stick with me, and good God, look at the time. Think I hired you to stick around and chew the rag?
Thank you, Jeffrey. And now it's time for you, public, to vote for A, Jacqueline Elizabeth, or B, Jeffrey Basker. Thank you. Thank you to all who voted, and thanks again for making this so difficult. The winner is me, Jacqueline Elizabeth. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. And please stick around as you will most likely do more monologues. Our next matchup is A, Kanika Savoy.
Okay. Hello again. I will be doing a monologue from Twelfth Night, written by William Shakespeare, and the character is Viola. I left no ring with her. What means this lady? Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me indeed, so much that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue. For she did speak in starts distractedly. She loves me, sure the cunning of her passion, invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring. Why he sent her none. I am the man if it be so. As 'tis, poor lady, she were better love a dream. Disguise, I see thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. How easy is it for the proper false in women's waxing hearts to set their forms? Alas, our frailty is the cause, not we, for such as we are made of such we be. How will this falge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor master, bond as much on him, as she mistaken seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am man, my state is desperate, for my master's love, as I and woman now alas the day. With thriftless I shall poor Olivia breathe. O time, thou must untangle this, not I. It is too a knot for me to untie. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. And your matchup B is Sarah Kesman.
And this is one of Helena's monologues from A Midsummer Night's Dream. How happy some or other some can be. Through Athens, I am thought as fair as she. But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know what all but he do know. For as he errs, doting on Hermia's eyes, so I, admiring of his qualities, things base and vile, folding no quantity, love can transpose to form and dignity. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind. Therefore is winged Cupid painted blind, nor hath love's mind any judgment taste, wings and no eyes figure unheedy haste. Therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he is so oft beguiled, as waggish boys in game themselves forswear. So the boy love is perjured everywhere. For ere Demetrius looked on Hermia's eye, he hailed down oaths that he was only mine. And when this hail some heat from Hermia felt, so he dissolved, and showers of oaths did melt. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight. Then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her. And for this intelligence, if I have thanks, it is a dear expense. But herein I mean to enrich my pain, to have his sight thither and back again.
Thank you, Sarah. And now it's time to vote. A, Kanika versus B, Sarah. See you in a minute. Thank you to all who voted for another very close judging segment. The winner is Sarah. Great job to you both, Sarah and Kanika. Kanika, please stick around as you may go to the next round, and we will definitely hear another monologue from you. Now, this is the part of our program where, because we have an odd number of people, next will be Andrew, who will do his monologue. And afterwards, we will be sequencing randomly to see the 3 people who will move on to the next round. So whenever you're ready, Andrew.
All righty. I will do something from the Scottish play too. Seems like a theme today. Thrice the brine cat have you, thrice and once the hedge pig whine. Harpiers cry, 'tis time, 'tis time. Round about the cauldron go, in the poisoned entrails throw. Toad that under a cold stone days and night has 31 sweltered venom sleeping got. Boil thou theirs in charmed hot. Oh, fillet of fatty steak into the cauldron, boil and bake. Oh, eye of newt, toe of frog, wool of bat, oh, and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blindworm's sting. Lizard's leg and owlet's wing. Oh, for a charm of powerful trouble. Ooh, like a hell broth, boil and bubble. Double, double, toil and trouble. Fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Ooh, cool it down with a baboon's blood. And then the charm is firm and good. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Open locks, whoever knocks. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Excellent. And now we will do live. Who are the 3 who are moving on to round 3? First up is, drum roll. Moving on first, Rocky Nunzio. The crowd are raving. Moving on second, Robert. Moving on second is, roll, Marge McGugan. And our last contestant moving on to round 3. The people left are Kanika, Jeffrey, and Andrew. Let's see who the randomizer chooses. Roll. Kanika Savoy. Bravo. Jeffrey and Andrew, please stick around though, as we will hear monologues from you during round 3. But just so that you remember who is moving on, it is Robert, Howard, Madeline, Paul, Jackie, Sarah, Rocky, Marge, and Kanika. Excellent. So this is the same thing as round 2. These are matchups. There will be 4 matchups as there are 8 contestants. And give me 1 minute to see who is going to begin in our first matchup. Who do you think it's going to be? Care to gamble? Our first person in our first round of round 3 is Sarah. Whenever you're ready, Sarah. Whenever you're ready.
Sorry, I'm here. Okay.
No worries.
Okay, and this is from Hamlet, one of his monologues. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Stale, flat, and unprofitable seems to me all the uses of this world. Fie on it! Fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed things that it should come to this. But too much so excellent a king that was to this hyper on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it feels. Thy name is woman. A little month.
Snipe, but for my sport and profit. I hate amour, and it is thought abroad that twixt my sheets he's done my office. I know not if to be true, but I, for mere suspicion in that kind, will do as if for surety. He holds me well. The better shall my purpose work on him. Cassio's a proper man. Let me see now. To get his place and to plume my will in double knavery, how? How? Let's see now. After some time to abuse Otho's ear that he is too familiar with his wife. He hath a person and a smooth dispose, to be suspected, framed, to make women false. The more is of a free and open nature that thinks men honest, those but seem to be so, and will be led as tenderly around the nose as asses are. I have it is engendered. Hell and night must bring this monstrous birth to the world's light. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Okay, it is now time to vote. A, Sarah versus B, Rocky. See you soon. Thank you, voters, for always making this so difficult. And the winner is of our first matchup, Rocky Nunzio. Sarah, please stick around as we will still hear your delightful monologues, even if you don't move on. Thank you so much. And thank you both for doing a great job. Our second matchup, A is Madeline.
I will be doing Electra's monologue from Electra by Sophocles. I am ashamed if I seem excessive in my grief, my pain. But my life makes me do this, forgive me. How else could a woman of breeding behave when she saw her father's wrongs? And I have seen them day and night, ever blooming, never dying. There is my mother, the woman who gave me life. I hate her beyond all others. Then there is this. I must live in my own house with my own father's killers. They control my life, they give or take away. So think of how my days are spent seeing, as I do, Aegisthus on my father's throne. Seeing him wearing my father's actual robes. Seeing him pouring libations at the hearth where he killed him. Seeing him in the ultimate act of insult, lying in my father's bed. His killer, lying with my foul mother, if mother I should call this woman that sleeps with him. In her arrogance, she couples with this curse and fears no fury or retribution. It is as if she mocks the murder. She marks the day when she killed my rituals of thanks to the gods that saved her. And with the cutting of the throats of lambs. I see this in the house, and I cry in sadness. Waste away. Mourn this misbegotten feast in my father's name. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. And B, our matchup. I couldn't make this up if I promise I couldn't. Marge McGugan, revenge.
Hi, I will be doing an excerpt from Medea. I'll be playing Medea, written by Euripides. Oh, my babes, you still have a city and a home far from me. Oh, my sad lot, you will live your lives reft of your mother forever, while I to another land in banishment, or ever I have my joy of you, or live to see you happy, or ever have graced your marriage couch, your your bridal bower, or lift high the wedding torch. Oh, A victim of my own self-will. No, it was all in vain I reared you, oh my sons. In vain did I suffer, racked with anguish, enduring the cruel pangs of childbirth. For heaven, once I hope, poor me, I hope of ye that you would nurse me in my old age and deck my corpse with loving hands, a boon we mortals covet. Now is my sweet fancy dead and gone. For I must lose you both, and in bitterness and sorrow drag through life, and ye shall never with fond eyes see your mother more or your life. There comes a change. Why do you look at me so, my children? Why smile that last sweet smile? Oh, what am I to do? My heart gives way when I behold the children's laughing eyes. Oh, I cannot. Farewell to all my former schemes. I will take the children from the land, the babes I bore. Why should I wound their sire by wounding them and get me twofold measure of sorrow? No, I will not do it. Farewell, my scheming. Yet what possesses me? Can I consent to let those foes of mine escape from punishment and incur their mockery? I must face this deed. Upon my craven heart, to think that I should even have let soft words escape my soul. Into the house, children! And whoso feels that he must not be present at my sacrifice must see it to himself. I will not spoil my handiwork. Oh, no, do not my heart. Oh, do not do this deed. Let the children go, unhappy one. Spare the babes. For if they live, they will cheer thee in our exile there. Nay, by fiends of hell's abyss, never, never will I hand my children over to their foes, to mock and flout. Die they must in any case, since 'tis so. Why, I, the mother who bore them, will give them the fatal blow. In any case, their doom is fixed, and there is no escape. Already the crown is on her head. The robe is around her. She's dying, the royal bride. That do I know full well. But now, since I have a piteous path to tread, yet no more piteous still the path I send my children on. Fain would I say farewell to them? Come, children. Oh, my babes, let your mother kiss your hands. Oh, the hands I love so well. Oh, lips most dear to me. Oh, noble form and features of my children. I wish you joy, but in that other land. For here your father robs you of your home. Oh, sweet embrace, the soft young cheek, the fragrant breath, my children. Go, leave me. I can bear no longer look upon ye. My sorrow wins the day. At last, I understand the awful deed I am about to do. But passion that causes the direst woes to mortal man hath triumphed over my sober thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. And now, time for you to vote. A, Madeline versus B, Marge. And in the meantime, I ask for Jeffrey to please come on back and do a monologue for us. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Hang on a sec. Had to cast my ballot. And now, from A Midsummer Night's Dream, this is Theseus. For strange and true, I may never believe these antique fables nor these fairy toys. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason ever comprehends. The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. One sees more devils than vast hell can hold. That is the madman. The lover, all is frantic, sees Helen's beauty in a brow of Egypt. The poet's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. And as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them into shapes and gives to hearing nothing a local habitation and a name. Such tricks hath strong imagination, that if it would but apprehend some joy, it comprehends the bringer of that joy. Or, in the night imagining some fear, how easy is a bush supposed to bear?
Thank you, lovely men, for that. That was beautiful. And the votes are in. And the winner is Madeline. Thank you both, Madeline and Marge, so much for your beautiful monologues. Please stick around, as you will most likely go again for fun this time. And next in our third round matchup, it is Paul.
Falstaff from Merry Wives of Windsor. Oh, the Windsor bell hath struck 12. The minute draws on. Now, the hot-blooded gods assist me. Remember, Jove, thou wast a bull for thy Europa. Oh, love set on thy horns. Oh, powerful love, that in some respects makes a beast a man, and in some others makes a man a beast. Yeah. You were also Jupiter, a swan for the love of Leda. Oh, omnipotent love, how near the god came to the complexion of a goose. A fault? done first in the form of a beast. Oh, Jove, a beastly fault. And then another done in the semblance of a fowl. Well, think on it, Jove. A foul fault? When gods have hot backs, what can poor men do? For me, I am a Windsor stag, and the fattest, I think, in the forest. Send me a cool rut time, Jove, or who can blame me to piss my tallow? Who comes here? My doe, oh, my doe with the black scot. Let the sky rain potatoes, oh, let it thunder to the tune of green sleeves, hail kissing comforts and snow erringos. Let there come a tempest of provocation. I will shelter me here. Oh, Mistress Page is come with her. Oh, divide me like a bribed buck. Eat your haunch. I'll keep my sides to myself, my shoulders, well, to the fellows of this walk, and my horns I bequeath thy husbands. Am I a woodman? Speak I like Herne the hunter? Oh, as I am a true spirit, welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Excellent. And B in this matchup is me. Moi. I will be doing a monologue from King Lear, and I will be playing Edmund. Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me, for that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of a brother? What? Bastard! Wherefore base? When my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true as honest madam's issue? Why brand they us with base? With baseness, bastardy, base. Who in the lusty self of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth within a dull, stale, tired bed go to the creating a whole tribe of fops got tween asleep and awake? Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards! It is now time to vote. A, Paul versus B, me, Jackie. And in the meantime, I ask Andrew Harristy to please come on back and do a monologue for us. Thanks.
All right. This will be Polixenes from A Winter's Tale. Mark your divorce, young sir, whom son I dare not call. Thou art too base to be acknowledged. Thou, a scepter's heir, thus affects a sheep hook. Oh, thou, old traitor, I am sorry that by hanging thee, I can only shorten thy life by 1 week. Oh, and thou, fresh piece of excellent witchcraft, whom force must know the royal fool thou copst with, I'll have thy beauty scratched with briars and made more homely than thy state. For thee, fond boy, if I may ever know thou dost but sigh, that thou or no more shalt see this knack, as never I mean thou shalt, we'll bar thee from succession, not wholly of our blood, no, not of our kin, far off than Deucalion. Oh, and you, enchantment worthy enough of a herdsman's, if henceforth thou these rule latches to his entrance open, or hoop his body in thy embrace, I'll devise a death as cruel to thee as thou art tendered to it. Thank you.
Thank you all again, voters, for voting. This was a very hard and difficult one for the judges, I can see. It was a close one by one vote. The winner is me. Sorry, Paul. You did a wonderful job, but please stick around, Paul, as we will still hear your monologue in the next round for fun. And our last matchup begins with Robert Howard.
Let me get my stretches in. Alrighty, I will be doing a monologue from The Massacre at Paris by Christopher Marlowe. Now, guys, begin those deep engendered thoughts to burst abroad those never-dying flames, which cannot be extinguished but by blood. Oft have I leveled, and at last I have learned that peril is the chiefest way to happiness, and resolution honor's fairest aim. What glory is there in a common good that hangs for every peasant to achieve? That like eye pest that flies beyond my reach. Set me to scale the high pyramids, and thereon set the diadem of France. I'll either rend it with my nails to naught, or mount the top with my aspiring wings, although my downfall be the deepest hell. For this I wake, when others think I sleep. For this I wait, that scorn attendance else. For this, my quenchless thirst, whereupon I build, hath often pleaded kindred to the king. For this head, this heart, this hand and sword contrives, imagines, and fully executes matters of import aimed at by many, yet understood by none. For this hath heaven engendered me of earth. For this earth sustains my body's weight. And with this weight, I'll counterpoise a crown, or with seditions weary all the world. For this, from Spain the stately Catholics send Indian gold to coin me French écus. For this, have I a largesse from the Pope, a pension, and a dispensation too. And by that privilege to work upon, my policy hath framed religion. Religion, oh diabole! For I am ashamed, however, that I seem to think a word of such a simple sound of so great matter should be made the ground. The gentle king, whose pleasure uncontrolled weakeneth his body, and will waste his realm, if I repair not what he ruinates. Him, as a child, I daily win with words, so that for proof he barely bears the name. I execute, and he sustains the blame. The mother queen works wonders for my sake, and in my love entombs the hope of France, rifling the bowels of her treasury to supply my wants and necessity. Paris hath full 500 colleges as monasteries, priories, abbeys, and halls, wherein are 30,000 able men, besides 1,000 sturdy student Catholics. And more of my knowledge. In one cloister keep 500 fat Franciscan friars and priests. All this and more, if more may be compromised, to bring the will of our desires to end. Then, Gaius, since thou hast all the cards within thy hands to shuffle or cut, take this as surest thing, that right or wrong, thou deal thyself a king. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And our B is Kanika.
I'm here. I'm here. Sorry about that, guys. I was just looking at something. Okay.
You're fine.
The name of the monologue that I am doing is Juliet's monologue, and it is from obviously Romeo and Juliet. Shall I speak ill of him? That is my husband. Poor my lord, what tongue shall soothe thy name, when I, thy 3 hours wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would kill my husband. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you mistakenly offer up joy. My husband lives that Tybalt would have slain, and Tybalt's dead, that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort where I weep then. Some word there was worser than Tybalt's death, that murdered me. I would forget it fain. But oh, it presses to my memory, like damn guilty deeds to sinners' minds. Tybalt is dead, and Romeo banished. That vanished, that one word, banished, have slain 10,000 Tybalts. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there, or if its sour woe delights in fellowship, it neededly will be ranked with other griefs. Why followed not when she said, Tybalt's dead, thy father or thy mother, nigh or both, which modern emanation might have moved, but with the reward of following Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished. To speak that word is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished. There is no end, no limit, measure, bound in that word's death. No words can hold that sound. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. And now it is time for you to vote. A, Robert versus B, Kanika. Okay, this was another very, very tough vote. Thank you again, all you voters out there, for voting. By one vote difference again, the winner is Kanika. Thank you so much, Robert and Kanika, for your beautiful, beautiful monologues. And we now go into round 4, the semifinals. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. And the 4 people going to the semifinals are Rocky, Madeline, Jack, me, and Kanika. Now, for this round, this is the random monologue round. I will be putting in the chat monologues for women and monologues for men, which are classic. Please choose one of these monologues. You can cut it as you see fit if it's too long, whatever you want. The only thing is that you must choose from these 2 sites. It doesn't matter if you're a man and want to do a female monologue, or you're a woman and want to do a male monologue. Doesn't matter. You do whatever you want to do, but choose from one of these 2 sites. And while these 4 people, including me, are preparing, we're gonna bring back our beautiful faves to do some more monologues. Starting with, let's see who's still here. Jeff Basker, if you're still available, come on back and do a monologue. And audience, if any of you want to do a monologue as well, please just let me know in the chat.
Let me switch the background a little bit before I get started.
Sounds good. Take your time. I'm going to put the 2 websites.
I got to find it because this one's a little bit offbeat. There's nothing writing on it, so you guys are going to get to hear from the musical 4 Stars Thursday. This is Fiendman. You girls know about the beer making process, right? It's not chemistry, it's actually biology. You know, the secret to making beer is employing the right kind of yeast. Yeast microbes aren't actually an ingredient. They're actually employees, servants to the brewing process. They'll do the work if you give them the right materials. You see, you have water and barley and malt and hops, which you mix together. And when you introduce yeast into that mixture, well, all those little yeasties are just happy as pigs in slop to be in with all that malt and barley and whatever. It's just one big buffet for them. So they eat and drink and eat. And their little bodies do just what human bodies do. They just urinate. They eat and urinate, they drink and urinate, they overindulge and urinate until they drown in their own urine. Then somebody comes along and separates out those dead yeast bodies and barley husks or whatever, and they bottle that urine, which they sell to you as beer. So the next time you belly up to the bar, just tell them, "I'd like a glass of yeast piss, please."
Woohoo, that was awesome.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up, Paul, would you like to do a monologue?
Sure.
Thanks, Paul.
Marcus from Titus Andronicus. Who is this? My niece that flies away so fast? Cousin, a word. Where's your husband? If I do dream, would all my wealth would wake me. If I do wake, some planet strike me down that I may slumber in eternal peace. Speak, gentle niece, what stern, ungentle hands have lopped and hewn and made thy body bare of her two branches? Why dost not speak to me? Alas, it is a crimson river of warm blood that like a bubbling fountain, stirred by the wind, doth rise and fall between thy lips, coming and going with thy honey breath. Sure, some Tiresias hath deflowered thee, and lest thou should detect him, hath cut thy tongue. Ah, now thou turn'st away thy face in shame. Oh, shall I speak for thee? Oh, shall I say 'tis so? Oh, that I knew thy mind, knew the beast, that I might rail at him and ease my mind. Oh, had he but seen those lily hands tremble aspen like upon a lute, and make the silken strings delight to touch them, he would not have touched them for his life. Or had he but heard the heavenly harmony which from thy sweet tongue hath made. He would have dropped his knife and fell asleep like Cerberus at the Thracian poet's feet. Oh, come, let us go and make thy father blind. Oh, for such a sight will blind a father's eye. 1 hour's storm will drown the fragrant meads. What will whole months of tears thy father's eyes? Oh. Do not draw back. Do not draw back, for we will mourn with thee. Oh, could our mourning ease thy misery?
Thank you, Paul. And last but not least, Sarah, come on back. And after that, we'll begin round 4.
Okay. All right. Another midsummer monologue. This is Titania again. These are the very forgeries of jealousy. And never, since middle summer spring, met we on hill, in dale, forest, or mead, by paved fountain or by rushy brook, or in the beached margent of the sea, to dance our ringlets to the whistling wind. But with thy brawls thou hast disturbed our sport. Therefore the winds, piping us, to us in vain, as in revenge, have sucked up from the sea contagious fog, which falling in the land have every pelting river made so proud that they have overborne their continents. The ox hath therefore stretched his yoke in vain, the plowman lost his sweat, and the green corn hath rotted ere his youth attained a beard. The fold stands empty in the drowned field, and crows are fatted with the murrian flock. The 9 men's morris is filled up with mud, and the quaint mazes in the wanton green for lack of tread are undistinguishable. The human mortals want their winter here. No night is now with him or Carol blessed. Therefore the moon, governess of floods, pale in her anger, washes all the air that rheumatic diseases do abound. And thorough this distemperature we see the seasons alter, hoary-headed frosts far in the fresh lap of the crimson rose, and on old Hyam's thin and icy crown, an odorous chaplet of sweet summer buds is as in mockery set. The spring, the summer, the chidling autumn, angry winter, change their wonted liveries, and the mazed world by their increase knows not which is which. And this same progeny of evils comes from our debate, from our dissension. We are their parents and original.
Thank you both, Sarah and Paul. And now let us begin round 4. And we begin the first matchup with Rocky.
This is Prometheus from Prometheus Bound. Think not that I throw pride of stubbornness. Keep silence, nay. My brooding heart is gnawed, seeing myself thus marred with contumely. And yet, what other but myself marked out to these new gods their full prerogatives? But I refrained, for not my tongue would tell save what ye know, but rather list the ills of mortal men, how being like babes before, I made them wise and masters of their wits. This I will tell, not as in blame of men, but showing how from kindness flowed my gifts. For they at first, though seeing, saw in vain. Hearing they heard not, but like shapes in dreams, through the long time all things at random mixed, of brick wove houses, sunward turned. Naught new, nor joiner's craft, but burrowing they dwelt like puny ants in caverns, death's unsunned. Nay, also number, art supreme for them I found, and marshalling of written signs, handmade to memory. The sum of all learn thou in one brief word. All arts to mortals from Prometheus came. Such cunning works for mortals I contrived. Yet, hapless for myself, find no device to free me from this present agony. Her of the muse. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. And for B, the match is Kanika.
Hi again. The name of the monologue I will be doing is well, it's called The Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kidd, and I am playing Ghost. When this internal substance of my soul did live imprisoned in my want flesh, each in their function serving others' need, I was a courtier in the Spanish court. My name was Don Andrea. My descent through not ignorable yet inferior far to gracious fortunes of my tender youth, for there in prime and pride of all my years by duteous service deserving love. In secret I possessed worthy dame, which hight sweet belle imperior by name. But in the harvest of my summer joys, death's winter nipped the blossoms of my bliss, forcing divorce betwixt my love and me. For in the late conflict with Portugal, my valor drew me into danger's mouth, till life to death made me passage through my wounds. When I was slain, my soul descended straight to past flowing stream of Arcanon. But Kurlish Charon only brought me there, said that my rites of burial not performed it, I might not sit amongst his passengers. Every soul had slept 3 nights in these lapse, and sank his smoking chariot in her flood. By dawn, Horatio, our knight's martial son, my funerals and obitites were done. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. Excellent. It is now time for you to vote. A, Rocky versus B, Kanika. And while you're voting, I now invite back Robert to come back and give us a monologue.
Hey y'all, it's me again. Welcome back. I'm gonna be doing a monologue from this little-known play. You might have heard of it. It's called Hamlet. And you might have heard of this monologue too. I don't think so. It's not really that famous. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by sleep, to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, to sleep. Chance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of desired love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merits of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would Fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus, conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution is sickled o'er with the pale cast of thoughts. An enterprise of great pitch and moment, with this regard their currents turn away and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia. Nymph in thy orisons, be all my sins remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And now one more monologue while we wait from one of our beloved audience members, Robin Burr.
This is Iphigenia or Iphigenia in Alice, depending on how you pronounce it, by Euripides. Had I, my father, the persuasive voice of Orpheus and his skill to charm the rocks to follow me and soothe whome'er I please with winning words, I would make trial of it. But I have nothing to present thee now, save tears, my only eloquence, and those I can present thee. On thy knees I hang a suppliant wreath this body, which she bore to thee. Oh, kill me not in youth's fresh prime. Sweet is the light of heaven, compel me not what is beneath to view. I was the first to call thee father. Me thou first didst call thy child. I was the first that on thy knees fondly caressed thee, and from thee received the fond caress. This was thy speech to me. Shall I, my child, e'er see thee in some house of splendor, happy in thy husband, live and flourish as becomes my dignity? My speech to thee was leaning against thy cheek, which with my hand I now caress. And what shall I do for thee? Shall I receive my father when grown old, and in my house cheer him with each fond office, to repay the careful nurture which he gave my youth? These words on my memory deep impressed. Thou hast forgot them, and wilt kill thy child. But Pelops, I entreat thee, by thy sire Atreus, by this mother who before suffered for me the pangs of childbirth, these pangs again to suffer, do not kill me. If Paris be enamored of his bride, his Helen, what concerns it me? And how comes he to meet my destruction? Look upon me. Give me a smile. Give me a kiss, my father. Then in my words persuade thee not. In death, I may have this memorial of I love. My brother, small assistance canst thou give thy friends, yet for thy sister with thy tears implore thy father that she may not die. You nymphs have a sense of ills. And see, my father, though silent, he soothes to thee. Be gentle to me on my life, have pity. Thy two children by this beard entreat thee, thy dear children. One is yet an infant, one to riper years arrived. I will sum all in this, which shall contain more than long speech. To view the light of life to mortals is most sweet, but all beneath is nothing. Of his senses he is reft who hath a wish to die. For life, though ill, excels whate'er there is of good in death. Thank you for letting me play.
Thank you, Robin, for playing. Excellent. And now let us announce the winner of the last matchup. It was Rocky versus Kanika. And the winner is Rocky. Excellent. Which leaves our second and last matchup for this round, Madeline versus moi. And first up is Madeline.
I will be playing Mephistopheles from Faust by Goethe. Poor son of earth, how couldst thou thus alone have led thy life bereft of me? I, for a time at least, have worked thy cure. Thy fancy's rickets plague thee not at all. Had I not been, so hast thou sure walked thyself off this earthly ball. Why here to caverns, rocky hollows slinking? Sitt'st thou as 'twere an owl a-blinking? Why suck'st from sodden moss and dripping stone, toad-like thy nourishment alone? A fine way this, thy time to fill, in blessing drawn from supernatural fountains, in night and dew to lie upon the mountains, all heaven and earth in rapture penetrating, thyself to godhood haughtily inflating, to grub with yearning force through earth's dark marrow, compress the 6 days' work within thy bosom narrow, to taste I know not what, in haughty power, thine own ecstatic life on all things shower, thine earthly self behind thee cast, and then the lofty instinct thus, at last, I daren't say how, to pluck the final flower. Yes, thou findest that unpleasant. Thou hast the moral right to cry me shame at present. One dares not that before chaste ears declare, which chaste hearts notwithstanding cannot spare. And once for I grudge thee not the pleasure of lying to thyself in moderate measure, but such a course as thou wilt not long endure. Already art thou excited? And if it last wilt soon be plighted to madness and horror, sure. Enough of that. Thy love sits lonely yonder, by all things saddened and depressed. Her thoughts and yearnings seek thee, tenderer, fonder. A mighty love is in her breast. First came thy passion's flood and poured around her as from melted snow a streamlet overflows. Thou hast wherewith so filled and drowned her that now thy stream all shallow shows. Methinks instead of is in the forest lording, the noble sir should find it good, the love of his young silly blood, at once to set about rewarding. Her time is miserably long. She haunts her window, watching the clouds that stray o'er the old city wall and far away, where I, a little bird, so runs her song, day long and half night long. Now she is lively, mostly sad, now wept beyond her tears, then again quiet she appears, always love mad. Thou fool, go in and comfort her. When such a head as thine no outlet knows, it thinks the end must occur. Hail him who keeps a steadfast mind, thou else dost well the devil nature wear. Not so insipid in the world I find, as is a devil in despair. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Excellent. And now I will go next in a minute. I will be doing a monologue from Medea by Euripides. Oh, my sons, ye have a city and a house where leaving hapless me behind, with other mother ye forever shall reside. But I to other realms an exile go, ere any help from you I could derive, or see you blessed. The hymeneal pomp, the bride, the genial couch for you adorn, and in these hands the kindled torch sustain. How wretched am I through my own perverseness! You, oh my sons, I then in vain have nurtured, in vain have toiled and wasted with fatigue, suffered the pregnant matron's grievous throes on you in my afflictions. Many hopes I founded erst, that ye with pious care would foster my old age, and on the bier extend me after death, much envied lot of mortals. But these pleasing anxious thoughts are vanished now, for losing you, life of bitterness and anguish shall I lead. But as for you, my sons, with those dear eyes, fated no more your mother to behold, hence are ye hastening to a world unknown. Why do ye gaze on me with such a look of tenderness, or wherefore smile? For those are your last smiles. Oh, wretched, wretched me! What shall I do? My resolution fails. Sparkling with joy now, I their looks have seen. My friends, I can no more. To those past schemes I bid adieu. And with me from this land my children will convey. What? Should I cause a twofold portion of distress to fall on my own head, that I may grieve the sire by punishing his sons? This shall not be. Such counsels I dismiss. But in my purpose, what means this change? Can I prefer derision and with impunity permit the foe to escape? My utmost courage must I rouse, for the suggestion of these tender thoughts proceeds from an unnerved heart. My sons, enter the regal mansion. As for those who deem that to be present were unholy, while I the destined victims offer up, let them see to it. This uplifted harm shall never shrink. Alas, alas, my soul, commit not such a deed. Unhappy woman, desist, and spare thy children. We will live together. They in foreign realms shall cheer thy exile. No, by those avenging fiends who dwell with Pluto in the realms beneath, there shall not be, nor will I ever leave my sons to be insulted by their foes. They certainly must die. Since then they must. I bore, and I will slay them. 'Tis a deed resolved on, nor my purpose will I change. Full well I know that now the royal bride wears on her head the magic diadem, and in the variegated robe expires. But hurried on by faith, I tread a path of utter wretchedness, and them will plunge into one yet more wretched. To my sons fain would I say, oh, stretch forth your right hands, ye children, for your mother to embrace. Oh, dearest hands, ye lips to me most dear, engaging features and ingenious looks, may ye be blessed. But in another world, for by the treacherous conduct of your sire are ye bereft of all this earth bestowed. Farewell, sweet kisses. Tender limbs, farewell. And fragrant breath, I never more can bear to look on you, my children. My afflictions have conquered me. I now am well aware what crimes I venture on, but rage, the cause of woes most grievous to the human race, over my better reason hath prevailed. And now it is time to vote. A, Madeline versus B, Jackie. And while we are waiting, Marge, would you like to do a monologue?
Sure thing.
Thank you, Marge.
I'd like to do a monologue from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and this is Mrs. Bennet. Oh, my dear Mr. Bennet, the girls and I have had a most pleasant evening. Jane was so admired. Everyone said how well she looked. Indeed, Mr. Bingley must have thought so, for he danced with her twice. Of course, I was quite worried at the beginning, for he asked Charlotte Lucas the first dance. It was vexing, but in the end, I do not think he admired her at all. Indeed, nobody can, poor creature. Then he saw our Jane. He immediately inquired as to who she was. She got quickly introduced and asked her for the next 2 dances. I am quite delighted with Mr. Bingley. Just so you know, he is excessively handsome, and his sister is the most charming person. I never saw anything more elegant than Miss Bingley's dress. There was a bit of unpleasantness, though. Mr. Bingley's friend, Mr. Darcy, shockingly rude gentleman. You would not have approved of his manners at all, for he was simply horrid. I wish you had been there, my dear, to give him one of your set downs. Thanks.
Thank you, Marge. And I now invite Paul, if you're still there, would you like to do another monologue?
Sure.
Thanks, Paul.
Henry V, the king. We are glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. His presence and your pains we thank you for. When we have matched our rackets to these balls, we will in France, by God's grace, play a set shall strike his father's crown into the hazard. Oh, tell him he hath made a match with such a wrangler that all the courts of France will be disturbed with his chases. And we understand him well, how he comes o'er us with our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England, but tell the Dauphin I will keep my state. Be like a king and show my sail of greatness when I do rouse me in the throne of France. And tell the present prince this mock of his has turned his balls to gunstones, and his soul shall stand sore charged for the wasteful vengeance that shall fly with them. For many 1,000 widows shall this mock out of their dear sons, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down, and some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have curse to curse the Dauphin's scorn. But this lives all within the will of God. So get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin his jest will savor but of shallow wit, when thousands weep more than did laugh at it.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you, voters, for another very, very difficult vote. And the winner is, drumroll, thank you so much, Madeline. You did an amazing job. And please stick around as we will still hear one of your beautiful monologues next round. So for the finals, it is Rocky Nunzio versus Jacqueline Elizabeth, who will win. And to begin our final round, I give it to thee, Rocky Nunzio. Enjoy.
This is from The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster, Ferdinand. Why didst thou not pity her? What an excellent, honest man mightst thou have been if thou had borne her to some form of sanctuary, or, bold, in a good cause oppose thyself, with thy advanced sword above thy head, between her innocence and my revenge. I bade thee when I was distracted of my wits, go kill my dearest friend, and thou hast done't. For let me but examine well the cause. What was the meanness of her match to me? Only I must confess, I had a hope, had she continued widowed, to have gained an infinite mass of treasure by her death. And that was the main cause, her marriage, that drew a stream of gall quite through my heart. For thee, as we observe in tragedies, that the good actor is many times cursed for playing the villain's part, I hate thee for it. And for my sake, say, thou hast done much ill. Well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you. And finally, I will go in 1 minute. Hello again. I will be doing a monologue from King Charles III by Mike Bartlett. And I will be doing a monologue of Kate's. It is bewildering that even now, these little rooms of power are stocked full with white and privileged, likely Oxford, men. Without the queen, the bias is more stark. The king's a man, prime minister as well. Combine the front benches of both sides, you'll have a female total of just 4. And so, despite emancipation, we must look towards the harder sex to find the power. Oh, but I know nothing. Just a plastic doll designed, I'm told, to stand, embodying a male created, bland and standard wife, whose only job is prettying the prince, and then, if possible, get pregnant with the royal and noble bump, to there produce an heir or 2. And oft I'm told, I don't have thought or brains to comprehend my strange position. But being underestimated so does give me what these men could never have. Since no one asks me what I think, I can observe and plan and learn the way to rule. For I will be a queen, unlike the ones before. My mother's dad was in the north a miner born. My father came from Leeds, and both of them, when young and inexperienced, did risk their house and all they had to try and make a business of their own. But it's not just this stock I bring to these most distant regal realms, but something more important and precise. I have ambition for my husband, yes, and hope my son will grow the finest king. But if I must put up with taunts and make so public everything I am, then I demand things for myself. I ask no less than power to achieve my will in fair exchange for total service to the state. Yes, this is what enthroned that I will do. Not simply help my husband in his crown, but wear one of my own. Thank you. All right, it's now time to vote. A, Rocky versus B, Jackie. And in the meantime, I now call Kanika to come on back and do a monologue for us. Thank you.
Hi again. So I will be doing a monologue written by Thomas Dekker. Sorry about that. Thomas Dekker and Thomas Milton, called The Roaring Girl. Just scooting up here. Okay. To teach thy base thoughts manners, thou art one of those that thinks each woman thy fond, flexible whore. If she but cast a liberal eye upon thee, turn back her head, she's thine or amongst company. By chance, drink first to thee, then she's quite gone. There's no means to help her, nay, for a need, wilt swear unto thy credulous fellow leechers. Then thy art more in favor with a lady. At first sight, than her monkey all her lifetime. How many of our sex, by such as thou, have their good thoughts paid with a blasted name, that never deserved loosely or did trip in path of whoredom beyond cup and lip? But for that stain of conscience and of soul, better had woman fall into the hands of an act, silent than bragging nothing. There's no mercy in it. What does't move you, sir, to think me whorish, a name which I'd tear out from the high German's throat if thy leisure there, to dispatch privy slanders against me? And thee I defy all men their worst hates, and their flatteries, all their golden witchcrafts, which they entangle with the poor spirits of fools. Distressed needle women, and trade fallen wives, fish that must needs bite, or themselves be bitten, such hungry things as these may soon be took within a warm basket on a golden hook. Those are the leecher's food, his prey. He watches for quarreling redlocks and poor shifting sisters. 'Tis the best fish he likes, but why, good fisherman, am I thought meat for you, that never yet had angling rod cast toward me? 'Cause you'll say I'm given to sport. I'm often merry jest, had mirth, no kindred in the world but lust. Oh shame, take all her friends then. But how thou and the baser would consume my life. I'll send them word by thee, and write so much upon thy breast, 'cause thou shalt bear it in mind. Tell them 'twere base to yield where I have cored or conquered. I swore to prostitute myself to a man. I that can prostitute a man to me. And also, I greet thee. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanika. I now invite Sarah Kesman to come back if you'd like to do your monologue.
Okay. Let me find it. Okay, so this is one that I just discovered. It's from The Rival Queens by Nathaniel Lee. And this is Roxana. When you retire to your romantic cell, I'll make thy solitary mansion hell. Thou shalt not rest by day nor sleep at night, but still, Roxana, shall thy spirit fright. Wanton in dreams, if thou darest dream of bliss, thy roving ghost may think to steal a kiss. And when to his sought bed thy wandering heir shall, for the happiness it wished, repair, how it will groan to find thy rival there. How ghastly wilt thou look when thou shalt see through the drawn curtains that great man and me, wearied with laughing joys, shot to the soul, while thou shalt grinning stand and gnash thy teeth and howl. The king and I, in various pictures drawn, clasping each other, shadowed o'er with lawn, shall be the daily presents I will send to help thy sorrow to her journey's end. And when we hear at last thy hour draws nigh, my Alexander, my dear love, and I will come and hasten on thy lingering fates, and smile and kiss thy soul out through the gates.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And last but not least, I invite Madeline if you'd like to do a monologue before I announce who has won. Thank you.
All right, I will be doing Cressida from Troilus and Cressida by Shakespeare. Hard to seem won, but I was won, my lord, with the first glance that ever, pardon me, if I confess much, you will play the tyrant. I love you now, but not till now so much, but I might master it. In faith, I lie. My thoughts were like unbridled children grown too headstrong for their mother. See we fools. Why have I blabbed? Who shall be true to us when we are so unsecret to ourselves? But though I loved you, I wooed you not. And yet, good faith, I wished myself a man, or that we women had men's privilege of speaking first. Sweet, bid me hold my tongue, for in this rapture I shall surely speak the thing I shall repent. See your silence. Cunning in dumbness from my weakness draws my very soul of counsel. Stop my mouth. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. And now for the winner of March Madness Monologues, the classical edition. It is a tie. I really waited until last possible minute, like hoping.
Well, we have 2 winners then.
It's a tie.
Wow.
So we're gonna let our randomizer
It's a good thing I don't
decide.
vote when I'm going.
Huh?
No.
I said it's a good thing I don't vote when I go.
I know, neither do I. So I was like, well, if either of us,
It still would have been a tie, yeah.
it would still be a tie. It's like, okay.
No, I
Like,
vote
whatever way
no
you slice it, it's a
randomizer.
tie.
I vote no randomizer. Just let you both be winners.
You want us both to be winner?
Yes.
The male winner and the female.
Yeah.
I leave it up to the public. Let's
Who's
do
with
this.
me? Who's with me? No bullshit
Who's
randomizer.
with Robert, who wants to just have two winners, and who wants the randomizer?
Look, in
to
my
decide?
opinion, if the Helen Hayes can give like ties to people winning on like an actual award show, I'm okay
they?
with this being a tie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine. I see no randomizer.
I don't want to leave this to fate.
This reminds me of
You don't want to leave this to fate. I want to leave this to fate. Just kidding.
No.
Robin did give me an amazing idea though for a final round if there's ever a tie again.
Mhm.
If there is, so the last 2 are going to choose monologues for each other.
Oh, that would have been good.
That'd be
So
cool.
next time we do this, be prepared.
or you can go right to the death.
Yeah, I wasn't
Good
prepared
idea.
for the fact this is switched up from my contemporary to classic, but you know.
I'm just
Run with
imagining
it.
we do it and I look at my monologue. Jackie, this is in French. Oh, you can't speak French, Rocky?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not that cruel. I'm not that cruel. As much as that
Because
would
Rocky, I've
be.
read it and I understand what's going on fine. So that's a,
Yeah,
But the
what
rest
did
of
you
the
not
people,
get, Rocky?
yeah, no. It's
yeah.
Well,
Okay,
thank
well-
you all. I guess it's been decided. There are 2 winners tonight. Unprecedented. Rocky Nunzio and Jacqueline Elizabeth. Woo! Thank you all to all of you who participated. This was awesome, as always. And I hope to see you at our next, not lesson, but our next play. Come join us for multiple plays every single weekend on this channel. C'est Jackie.
Thank you.
The
Thank
next
you
show,
so much.
Jackie will be putting on is Hamilton.
Oh my.
Oh, I wish. By myself, one woman show. Hamilton. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, but catch A Doll's House Part 2 with Silver Spring Stage in mid-April.
And if you're interested in auditioning for Artiste's production of Rent, you have till tomorrow night at midnight.
Tomorrow night at midnight.